WJG Sports. We journal great.
What's going on, Brothers Podcast, episode
71.
71, all right.
We on season 2.
Season 2, yeah, I guess you could say that. Of course, we're masked up here. You know, don't call Governor Cooper on us. We're good people. We're doing the right thing. Staying masked up. But I'm Kyle Jones, of course.
My name is Laika Abibi, also known as Kai Jones.
All right, and of course, we are here to talk about high school sports, as usual.
Yes, sir. We back.
Let's see, do we want to start with some signings? Do we want to start with realignment? I mean, there's been a lot going on. What you want to start with, man?
Yeah, you're right. It's been a crazy last several weeks since we did our previous episode.
Right.
I will start with signings, since that's what I did go to today.
Okay.
And I know you've been to some recently as well, and you'll get to those. But today, Nick Barrett, the Eastern Wayne star defensive lineman, signed his national letter of intent to play at South Carolina.
Tough.
I know the Borough is very proud of him.
He had
a big junior year. He had 15 sacks, 70 tackles, 15 for loss. Although Eastern Wayne went 1-10, he was really like the focal point on both sides, offensive line, defensive line. He was dominant on both fronts. He was the defensive player of the year for the Eastern Carolina 3A4 conference. And we're definitely proud of him, happy for him. I did ask him today about the coaching change that took place. Of course, Will Muschamp was let go during the season, and they brought in Shane Beamer to be their new head coach. And he told me he's 110% committed to the program, and he'll be he'll be starting school next semester, if I'm correct, because he should be graduating from Eastern Wayne this month and off to school and prepare for his freshman year of football. So we're definitely happy for Nick Barrett, and great kid, great in the classroom, great on the football field, off the field. Great kid, and we're definitely happy for him.
Right.
What about you, sir? I know you had a couple.
Well, I did want to add a quick note. I believe he'll be the first player from Goldsboro to play in the SEC since Jaron Reed, who played at Alabama, I believe, in 2014 and helped them win a national championship. Of course, now he plays for the Seattle Seahawks. Just got a nice contract extension this year. So it's always good to see kids from the city go ahead and do what they're supposed to do.
Facts.
All right, so of course I was at Grayson Massey's signing, and
Speaking of great athletes, my goodness.
right, and Logan Sutton at Princeton, softball players, both of them. Graceland going to Barton, and then Logan signing to play at ECU despite only playing 6 high school games in her career due to 2 new knee injuries. So
You gotta be really good to have that type to be. You have to be very talented to go through 2 knee injuries and still get to play at the Division I level.
Right.
And I'm sure Logan's going to do great things for the Powers, and Grayson's going to be big for the Bulldogs.
Right.
So we're definitely happy for both of them. Also, want to add one more softball signing. Ariel Pierce from Johnston also signed to play at UNC Wilmington.
Second from her family.
Yep.
Her older sister's actually there now
Yep.
playing. I believe she'll be a.
That North Johnston, UNC Wilmington pipeline is pretty good.
Right. This will be, I believe, their third. It'll be either their third or their 4th player who will be from North Johnston going to UNC Wilmington. North Johnston and Princeton both are 2 of the top softball programs in the state, without a doubt.
And I know last year when the season was put on hold, I mean, they were on their way to potentially deep playoff runs. And really, JoCo softball is so good.
Right.
But yeah, for sure. And I'm sure this year they'll also be on their way to deep playoff runs, surely, with those great players coming back. So we're happy for those 3 for sure. And they're going to have some great matchups on the field.
And, really, too, let's make sure we shout out Isaiah Mananga.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. The Clayton seat. Yes, that's right. Of course, that is correct. I didn't want to forget that. That was a good call. Do we have any other ones?
Not really I can think of off the top, but, congratulations to all the players who are signing. If we did miss you, we're sorry. Let us know. But I think really just the big thing, it's always great just to see kids sign, be able to go play at that next level.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. I think, and across the board, I know you as a Carolina fan, I know you were very excited seeing Keyshawn Silver from Rocky Mount
Oh, yeah.
and Kamara Edmonds from Havelock sign along with a great group of in-state talent.
Matt gotta come get one more. Come on, you gotta get one more from 2022 though.
Oh.
Everyone knows what we're talking about. We don't need to say it.
Hey, look, we know.
Yeah.
I know who he wants. I know it's probably not really nice of us to say we want them at a specific school because you know.
Well, you know what I want. You know what I would like to see him play at Carolina, but you know I want all the kids to go.
You know what? I'm just gonna say it. He's talking about Amarion Hampton from Cleveland.
Yes.
No matter where he goes, kid's gonna be a star. But
yes.
that's for the future. I can't wait to see because I know by within the next several months or so we probably will know.
Right.
But signing day is a very special day,
right.
Not only for kids and their families, for programs, for schools, for communities. So it's big to see these student athletes get to achieve their dreams, and I think it's great for them, especially in a trying time such as this. But in my opinion, though, as we transition, one of the big things that's happened over the last few weeks has been the NCHSAA realignment, and there have been some significant changes.
Significant.
Yeah, significant is putting it lightly.
We'll start with. I believe they said the most split conferences we've ever seen before from the NCHSAA.
Yep.
I think it's a great idea. There are a lot of people who would probably say it's not. There's going to be a lot of schools who are at that 1A and 1A who has to play with 2A, or 2A has to play with 3A.
They did put
3A has to play with 4A.
That's right. Yes.
Will be pretty upset because they have to play up in competition / up at the school size, especially when you look at football. But I think overall, I really love what the new realignment looks like.
I was gonna say, I think the biggest, obviously the biggest mover in terms of like the one that we saw right away, we're like, whoa, holy cow, was Kinston going down to 1A
right.
after being a 4A school for so long, and then 3A and then 2A for a while, and now as a 1A program.
I think it's appropriate, just because Kinston's lost a lot of kids. Kinston hasn't been the greatest economically as well, because it's not just the number of kids now, it's now a bunch of other factors that are built in, as well as they drop your 2 highest years. Mm-hmm. So initially, Kinston was slated to be one of the last 2As in.
They were literally the last one.
Right. And they dropped out of it because they dropped those 2 extra years.
Yeah,
that will have your biggest years, which is also why Southern Wayne went from dropping down to 2A to going back up to 3A, because they dropped those 2 highest years.
So yeah, they were going down to 2A, and now they're staying.
Now they're staying at 3A,
which
I think that really worked out well for CBA Cop, because now they have a travel partner for their new conference.
An in-county opponent that's literally 15, 20 minutes.
Right.
But obviously, in terms of our WJG area teams, I think I'll get to the other teams that were notable later.
Right.
But Kinston was obviously the big one because everyone was like, "Whoa, Kinston basketball 1A and all this stuff." But
here's the thing too, Kinston basketball. The thing about Kinston that you got to remember is it's not just basketball.
It's not.
Not just track. I think their other sports are way more aligned to 1A play.
I think it's going to help all of their programs. Yes,
right.
I agree.
I mean, in basketball, it will help a little bit, but you still have to play the charters, so you lose out on having to play the Farmville and the South Granvilles. Which South Granville's another school who benefited from the 2-year cut because they went from being 3A to 2A.
That's right. That's a good call. But in terms of
when you look at it, you still have to play charter schools. Like I don't think that if, say this year, it had Kinston been 1A this year versus I don't know if anybody's ever heard of the schools named Wilson Prep and Henderson Collegiate. That was not going to be a walk in the park.
Yeah, I was going to get to that.
Right. There's no
1A basketball is going to be really good this year, obviously.
Right. And then 1A basketball next year, I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park either. I mean, you look at it, Wilson Prep, they'll lose some key pieces. They'll still have Nations.
For the basketball preview guy. I know it's so hard. I'm just playing.
Well, technically, we won't talk about Wilson
Prep. Although
Henderson Collegiate is showed that they are turning out a program. And when you have a program versus just a good group of kids, then you're always going to be solid. And if you got a high level coach like they have, as well as they're connected with Royal Knights, I think that's the biggest thing for you is when you can have that type of connection.
So yeah, I don't think it would. Yeah, I agree with you on it not being a walk in the park for Kinston, but I think 1A, like I said, 1A will help all of their programs. Like I've seen how their volleyball team, although they haven't gotten the results, but the last 2 years they look very competitive in a lot of their matches.
Right.
And playing 1A teams will definitely help them.
Right. And I think it's interesting the conference they're in because now they're with Jones, Pamlico,
still North and South Lenore, West
Craven.
Those are all not that, proximity-wise, it's not bad at all, really.
Right. I mean, West Craven is probably your furthest drive, which is probably, I think, 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah. Pamlico's in that direction, too.
Right.
So it's...
Jones Senior, you're 30 minutes down the road. North Lenore, you're 20 minutes down the road. South 20 minutes down the road. So, I mean... I think that's really what the biggest thing was.
Actually, I think Lejeune will be their top. If Lejeune, their program probably be the longest drive for them. But,
that's right. Lejeune is in that conference. So Lejeune is probably...
That's still, proximity-wise, it's still pretty good.
Lejeune is still only about an hour 15.
Yeah, exactly. That's not terrible.
And I think that's really what this realignment really did a great job of. I think they cut out a lot of those teams having to go an hour, 3 or 4 places.
I agree.
Versus an hour for 2 to 3 of them.
Sure.
Anytime you can cut travel times, I think that's always important for a high school budget. Just because the less money you're spending on gas, the more you can put that into the actual program.
For sure. I know we've talked a lot about Kinston going to 1A, but they weren't the only team that moved up or down. Obviously, several teams across the state have done so. In the WJG area, of course, a lot of our big Johnston County programs, Clayton and Cleveland, expectedly moved up.
Right. West Johnston was actually on the cut to go up, but then they got cut back down with the extra.
So they're another team that got the 2 extra year thing with the affected there.
Sent them from 4A to 3 back to 3A.
Corinth Holders also stayed. So
Corinth Holders is never leaving 4A.
Yeah, it's a big school.
I'm about to say 2,200 kids, not happening. They're one of the biggest schools in the state.
For sure. Let's see. Triple S moved up, right? No, they stayed.
Triple S stayed at
ACOG stayed.
3A. ACOG stayed at 3A.
Southern Wayne stayed, like you mentioned.
Southern Wayne stayed. South Johnson stayed.
West stayed, like you mentioned.
Now, of course, that creates a new conference. You have West and South and Triple S now forming with ACOG, Southern Wayne, Fike, and Hunt.
Yeah, that's about right. I mean, that's all pretty... Proximity-wise, it's all pretty good, honestly.
Right. I believe in East Wake.
Yes, and East Wake is not far for either of them either.
Right.
So
I mean, you look at it. ACOG now they're going 30 minutes up the road to Fight. They're going 30 minutes up the road to Hunt. You're going 20 minutes down the road to Southern Wayne.
Triple S is not
about 40 minutes.
It's not terrible.
South Johnson's probably about 50, and then you go about an hour to
East
West and East Wake.
It's not too bad.
So you go from being an hour and a half from New Bern, hour to South Central, hour
to Rose, hour to Conley. That's not terrible.
Even though you don't have the 10, 15 minute trip to Eastern Wayne anymore.
You can still play them twice, I think.
Right.
Realistically.
And realistically for football, this is great for football because
for ACOG,
because now boom, you schedule Eastern Wayne for your non-conference. You schedule Goldsboro for your non-conference.
You schedule Green Central.
Rosewood for the non-conference, and then Green Central. That's your 4. Actually, you only get 3. So I don't know if they'll continue to play Green Central though, just because they won't play this year because of COVID. So, I mean, I think the biggest thing that kind of kept that series alive was the fact that it had always been a rivalry. Apparently, they played for close to 40 to 50 years, but with them breaking that chain, I don't necessarily know if they're going to try to continue that rivalry.
That'll definitely be a storyline over the next year. We'll see.
I mean, because you could say, hey, we'll just keep on playing Rosewood, Goldsboro, Eastern Wayne, and all of those are within 15 minutes to 20 minutes away from us.
Speaking of, Princeton and Rosewood both moved up, correct?
Princeton
did.
Rosewood and News Charter stay with Princeton, and then add North Johnston as well as Goldsboro, Eastern Wayne, and Spring Creek. Green Central State is with the Pitt County and Beaufort schools.
Oh yeah, that's right. That would be the Eastern Plains.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe that would be the new Eastern Plains.
We'll have to look at that. Look that up.
Well,
again,
technically they don't have names yet, so.
Okay, it's conference number.
Yeah, conference whatever.
But still, Princeton moving up to 2A is still a pretty big deal.
After being in 1A school for I think over 50 years, I believe they said.
That's very significant.
Very significant. I know several North Johnson people who are super excited about Princeton being 2A now because now they have to feel the burn of being a 2A school. But that's just being rivals, of course.
Of course, so right, noisy neighbors, you know.
Yeah, Rosewood and News Charter, both of them now have to play with Goldsboro, Eastern Wayne, which they don't normally play against.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting.
So that's going to be interesting. But of course, News Charter doesn't have football, so that's not really an issue. I think it worked out perfectly for us.
I know, as your friends.
I mean, pretty much the only team that has only one team inside of their conference from the area is Green Central. But I mean,
but yeah, it's
you can't get everything perfect. That was as good as you can get it.
I mean, in terms of like the conference, like thinking about your typical conference scenarios. I mean, I know you were very happy about.
Right. Oh, and by the way, Bedingfield will be in that Goldsboro.
That's correct. Yes.
Right.
In terms of the rest of the area, like the areas I cover, let's see, South Central and Conley flipped. So Conley's now, in my opinion, it was expected. They went up to 4A.
Right.
South Central went down to 3A. Let's see.
Boy, Chris Cherry is going to wreck some havoc on 3A.
Oh, and so was Robert Duck too. They won their state title was won at 3A. So, I mean, the team he's got coming back is really good too. So they're both going to be in business.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. How about
let's see. Of course,
North Side, South Side, and Washington all playing together.
All playing together. There will be no more Washington not playing North Side.
Yep, we're gonna get those two boxes when they play basketball. Woof.
Right, and then they'll also have to play Farmville. I believe somebody texted me from that conference. He texted me no more. He said, "Well, we dropped Kinston, but they have Farmville Central."
Yeah, it's like that's quite the replacement there.
Yeah, and then if you look at for the girls, I mean, North Pitt going to that conference as well. I mean,
it's just like how it was in the previous realignment. They played Washington and Farmville 8, I think.
Right.
It was something like that.
And you get Aiden, of course, that stays in that conference.
I mean, Aiden and Farmville is going to be
Farmville, you get North Pitt, you get Washington, North Side, South Side, as well as Green Central. So I think that's honestly a really great conference to be in travel wise. For Green Central, I mean, it could be better. Because personally, I mean, Eastern Wayne is closer than any of the other schools, but I don't think that is a bad conference at all for them.
I do have to make one correction. Bedingfield is actually in conference with Tarboro, South as I
That's
told
right.
you.
That's right.
And Wilson Prep, North Edgecombe, Northeast Carolina Prep, which will be playing NCHSA.
Now that's interesting. Bedingfield will have to play Wilson Prep. Now, of course, anybody who follows Rod Bridgers knows that Wilson does not like to play against each other.
And you know Rod's our guy from State Network.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking at this is the conference proposal I pulled up here on this here Telefono.
Right. And see, I think the thing about this that these conferences they're going to stop people from ducking the smoke.
The smoke will not be dunked no more. But let's see. Looking here, Of course, Riverside and South Creek and Plymouth are all going to be in conference together, which is going to be really fun.
That's a great conference.
Gates County, Perquimans, Bertie, that's going to be one of those.
And you know, really that northeast.
I love that Riverside and Washington County are playing each other. That's perfect.
Right. I think really
that's one of the funnest games I went to, by the way, last season for basketball. But continue.
I think really that's important because that northeast North Carolina corner, they stick together, and it's good to see them be staying together.
Nobody ducks nobody out there. They don't duck out there.
Right.
Let's see. Looking just to confirm again, Kinston with Jones Senior, North and South, like you said, West Craven, Pamlico, and Lejeune.
Okay. I forgot about Lejeune.
North Side, South Side, Washington, North Pitt, Green Central, Farmville, Aden.
Now, of course, we do want to once again preface this with this is just a draft.
That's correct.
So this could all be completely different in a month.
Yeah.
You know what? I already can tell you, there's going to be somebody who's going to complain.
Because this is high school sports and there's always complaints.
Oh, dude. Everyone whines. Oh, for months.
I'm guilty.
For months, high school basketball coaches was like, please, just let us play. Let us play. Then mask mandates come out. It's like, how are the kids going to breathe? How are we going to play?
We can't win out here, dog. Hey, Guy's not calling anyone specific out, but that's just a general thing. No.
It was like, first it was like, let's just let us play. Then it was, it's only 14 games. It's like, how come we gotta wear masks now?
I'm crying, dog.
It's hurting. And then people go into the jump ball. Who cares about jump ball? When is the last time you went to the basketball game and said, you know what, I wonder who won the jump ball?
The jump ball will only be important if it's a 1 minute overtime.
If it's a 1 minute overtime, who cares? It's one possession. One possession. You can literally get the ball back by fouling or by playing defense.
That's true. Also true. I'm just looking through this now, but also
too, by the way, if a team decides to hold the ball for 1 minute and you play good defense and you stop them, then guess what? You get the ball back to start the 1 minute overtime, the next period. So,
looking at this conference, I know as long as everything stays, having News Charter, Rosewood, Eastern Wayne, Goldsboro, North Johnston, Princeton, and Spring Creek, Kai was looking into the mirror that morning and was like,
hey, I feel like I made this happen. I feel like James Alverson and them was listening to me somewhere. I know they weren't, but I felt like I felt seen. I felt heard.
I felt seen. I felt a wise man once felt seen and heard, and that wise man was Kai Jones.
Obviously I had my dreams of maybe, you just put Corinth, Cleveland, Clayton, South, Smithfield, Selma, and West Johnston all in one conference together. Just make a nice split. But you know what? That's fine. It didn't happen.
I still like Corinth, Cleveland.
As long as Clayton, Cleveland, and Corinth are together, I think that's the perfect.
And they're playing with the Southern Wake squad, so South Garner, Fuquay, right. Southeast Raleigh, the new Willow Spring High School, which will start this coming year, not this next.
Right. So I like that conference. That's not a bad conference.
I also want to mention the
travel time for that is really good. Not as good as it was, obviously, for Clayton and Cleveland, but for Corinth, you don't have to spend all your time in Wake Forest anymore.
That is a track.
Yes.
I was also going to mention another big thing I wanted to mention is the big Pitt County schools are all going to be playing against Onslow and Craven. So New Bern, South, Connolly, and Rose, they're all going to be together like usual. But they're also going to have Richlands who went up to 3A,
right?
Northside Jacksonville, and Havelock. That is going for football.
That's a crazy football.
That's going to be crazy.
I'm about to say that is a bloody football conference.
Yeah, imagine. I mean, Havelock, Jacksonville, and Northside, and Northside have all played each other.
I'm about to say then also too. That's a bunch of great coaches too.
Oh yeah.
I'm about to say that's nobody who just gets great talent and puts.
No, all those dudes win with what they got.
Right, and that's ooh.
But yeah, think just an example. Imagine your Rose, you played Conley and South Central, then you got to play New Bern, Havelock, Jacksonville, North.
I'm about to say whoever.
I know every team's got to do this, but that's like wild as hell.
I will tell you this though. Anybody, I would be the favorite to come out of 3 or 4A would be whoever wins that conference.
There's please. I hope there are no complaints. I want that to be the conference. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
It's not gonna be.
It's not, but I want it to be.
I was about to say anytime anything is too perfect in high school sports, people just rip it apart. We whine, we complain. This is not good for us.
Also,
we should have had this. We should have had that.
But let's see. Granville Central went up to 2A.
Right, Granville Central.
They're now like them and South Granville were always in conference together.
But now
they're still gonna be, but in a different
but
conference.
now they could see each other in the playoffs. So
oh yeah.
Add that layer.
Plus, also Nash Central going to play with the other Nash schools is pretty significant.
Right.
Along with Bunn and Lewisburg going up to 2A. Well, Lewisburg went up to 2A.
I think both to 2A. A lot of people didn't feel like Lewisburg should have went up to 2A, considering Kinston has more kids than them. But I think it's a good move for Lewisburg. I think they're in a good position as a school.
Yeah, for sure. But Northern Nash, Southern Nash, Rocky Mount, and Nash Central. Whew, that is.
Yeah, I mean that's not easy. That's no walk in the park.
Also, I believe the Coastal NENC with First Flight and Currituck going up to 3A.
Yeah, I like that conference a lot.
Hereford,
I don't
Camden,
like the Cumberland County Conference is kind of interesting.
The fourth?
3A, 4A.
Yeah, they
got
put
split conferences.
Yeah, they got the one with E. Smith, Terry Sanford, Westover, Overhills, Western Harnett, Pine Forest, Triton, Harnett Central too. That's all I was going to say.
But honestly, I think one of the things I think about when I think about conferences that could change, I could see Princeton, North Johnson, Rosewood, and News Charter saying they don't want to be in a conference with Goldsboro, Eastern Wayne.
Spring Creek would be realistic.
Spring Creek is realistic, but I could see that happening. Not because it's just a different. The schools have different identities. I'll say it like that.
I think it's very well said. I think it's kind of some.
So I could see that being a problem. I mean, because for Princeton to go from 1A to 2A like they have, and they already go in there, and you have to play Goldsboro and Eastern Wayne. Both of those schools have been, kind of bigger schools, more for a lot longer time. Maybe you don't want to play against that so soon. News Charter, you maybe don't want to go and play against those more established schools like that. And then maybe you look for a team like North Duplin and Hopton, both of them.
Those are familiar conference opponents.
Familiar conference opponents, but also who have Murderers Row type of conference for them.
Their original draft is, the big dogs of Sampson and Duplin.
Look, Goldsboro, who has a ton of athletes on their field every season, they get banged up from playing East Duplin, Clinton, Wallace, James Keenan, Midway, and Gauntlet. Can you imagine a 1A school like North Duplin and Hopton trying to figure out a way to beat all of that firepower? Is it possible? Yes.
I know North Duplin and Hopton in football those are two winning programs that can compete. But I agree. Yes, it will be. I think it will definitely be a challenge when you're going against Wallace Rose Hill and then you play Clinton the next game. Think about that. Like that's not.
I would say, like I said, Goldsboro.
And then you play James Keenan, who's got athletes.
Goldsboro, they get banged up playing that schedule, and they have obviously a lot more athletes. So I just can't imagine that works out.
But so yes, you mentioned, it was a draft. All of this is a draft.
Right. So then maybe you keep Spring Creek and North Duplin right there next to each other, 10 to 15 minutes. Of course, North Duplin is only, I think, 20 minutes away from Rosewood, 30 minutes away from Princeton.
Yeah, that's about right. I mean, it's
North Johnston, to Hopton is probably a good hour, but North Johnston, they're getting a much better deal. Even if they were to keep this conference, they're getting a much better deal just because instead of you having to go hour everywhere, now you're looking at close to, 30 to 40 minutes.
Let's see. Is there anything else that... Also, I know Chris Miller mentioned a little bit about the Onslow schools getting split up.
Right.
Let's see. What other... some of the charter schools moved up to join NCSSM in 2A. So Raleigh Charter, Research Triangle, and Franklin Academy all went up.
Right.
That's also pretty significant. But overall...
is there anyone in the West that really looked interesting to you? Because I don't know anything about the West. You're a Triad kid. Was there anything that really stirred up in your mind?
Well, let's see. Well, Bishop again is going to play in conference with Reedsville. It's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. But other than that, really not much surprised me about how it shook out. Because when you consider but I will say some of the 4A conferences, like a lot of those Guilford County squads are in the same conference together now. So Page and Grimsley, like the usual rivals, Southeast, Southwest, Western, Northwest, Northern, and Ragsdale.
Right. And of course, I've heard now that the Charlotte schools are also all together for the most part.
Yeah, RGKL, Berry Academy, Harding U, Olympic, South Mech, West Charlotte. That's not bad. I mean, that's like right there. Let's see, who else? You got Huff and Mallard Creek and North Mech Advance and Hopewell with Garinger, excuse me. I always say Granger for some reason. But really, I'm not surprised by how 4A, the West in general shook out.
Right.
I would say...
Which I think the West has done a lot better job in the past of having the conferences that really made sense, how close they were together.
I will say...
Now, of course, that's from me not really knowing every conference in the West. I'm sure there were some who were like...
I will say there were some schools that kind of got, in terms of a travel, they got a much better job than the previous alignment.
Right. And I think that's what's most important to the NCHSA is they're looking at travel. How can we cut it down? And
that's why you see, for my Greensboro teams, that's why you see Smith, Dudley, Eastern Guilford, Northeast, Southern. They're all right. Rockingham County's not far. It's Rockingham County and Southern Guilford. It might be a decent trip, but other than that, realignment seems to be pretty good. At least from what I see, I also see all the Davidson and Randolph schools together. So
right.
It's kind of like you said, it was like an emphasis on getting counties that are close together, or counties that have a lot of schools with the same proximity, and it's pretty good.
Right.
So,
I think it's pretty good. Like I said, I hope they don't change that big WJG conference.
Look,
that's how I'm gonna call it.
we're calling the WJG conference is not. All I'm gonna say is I don't want there to be too many complaints for that, because I know, but like you said, in some areas, some sports are big here and some other sports are big in other places.
Right.
But having all those schools together, it definitely helps your two favorite brothers here.
Yeah.
You know what the deal is.
Yeah.
But we talked a lot about realignment. But you wanna take this next transition to the leap to the hardwood for some basketball?
Sure. So now, of course, last night we were at Win Country Day for their first home game, first game really in over a month.
Yeah, 5 weeks.
5
to
weeks
to the date of their first game.
And I gotta say, from the first game to the second game, even with limited practice, they looked so much better.
Because that's correct. You were at their game. Their first game was a 68-48 road loss to a very good Cape Fear Christian Academy team that will be one of the favorites in the 1A division. Excuse me.
Cape Fear Christian Academy. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with. While Southeast Homeschool is not anywhere near as good as Cape Fear Christian Academy. No disrespect to anybody, but just the ball movement, how they played together, Vontae Hutcherson showing why he could be a potential, why he was a starter on that great CP3 team this summer.
He did start. That's right.
Yeah. So he showed this summer. He showed last night why he started, and he said he just came outside of his head and just got into a rhythm and a flow. And now with that back injury no longer bothering him, man, he could be a real problem. And if he is playing as big as he is tonight, as he did last night, then the Chargers have a chance to have a potential to get back to the state title game if he's playing that way, as well as Jordan, Jaden, Mike, and then once Carlos is back in the fold. Well, I'm saying the guards shooting.
Yes, okay,
shooting wise. And then if whatever DeAndre and Jack can give you I think they're in a really good position. If Vontae is playing like that, he's going to be that.
That's as good as I've seen Vontae look in a while.
Right.
And what did he have? 16 points, 20 rebounds, something like
16
that.
points, 20 rebounds. Yeah.
Let's see. DeAndre Irvin also had a double-double.
But really, the biggest thing I say
Cooper,
for Vontae is
Cooper,
being able to move laterally, close it out on defense, being
active.
Being active.
Like literally, he set the tone. Really, that first steal and dunk really got him going.
Right,
and then all of a sudden, like he looked like a different dude. He was in the zone. He was getting the ball in the post. He finished one in the paint, and then second half he came out, was running the floor well. They were getting out in transition, and then late third quarter he comes down and kid from Southeast Homeschool tries to take a charge, and it did not end well for him because he not only didn't get the call, but yeah, unfortunately he got put on a t-shirt. I'm sorry, I feel bad for the kid, but it happens to everybody.
Put him in the dirt. Put him in the dirt. We smoking on charge.
But and also, I have some analysis of Jaden Cooper that you used yesterday. The Columbia signing, of course. That boy good.
Yeah, Jaden Cooper is elite. I've said for a long time that I believe, I said for the last year or so that I believe he's probably the most underrated 2021 just because of how early he committed. I think had he not committed, he'd probably have a lot more coaches in the gym right now, or at least watching live streams trying to figure out what to do with him just because of how easy he's going to transition to the college game. I mean, if you look at him, he's gained probably 10 to 15 pounds of muscle. He looks in great, phenomenal shape. Already looks like he could play
23, 6, and 10 last night for
right. He looks like he can already play for Columbia right now. He's just so easy to plug and play wherever he'll go because he can go off the ball, shoot the ball, finish at the basket. He can create his own shot. He can create for others. He's an elite rebounder at the guard position, and he's a defensive first type of player, really.
Also, you can't go to Columbia and not be great in the classroom.
Right, and he's great in the classroom, and he's a great kid to be around.
Stand-up kid, and, great leader.
I mean, he is one of the best basketball players I've seen come out of Wayne County.
And I know you know your Wayne County basketball. There have been a lot of players that have come through in the last several years. Right. Jordan Cooper, his younger brother, I honestly think that might be the best game he's played as a Wayne County Charger last night.
Right.
The way he looked.
And I think that was just Ken with being aggressive. And I feel like
he's comfortable now. He's more comfortable now. Especially, he got the start. I know, obviously, Carlos Raven served a one-game suspension.
I mean, honestly, truly, if I'm Coach Falk, I might talk to Carlos and say, hey, why don't you come off the bench? You'll be able to lead your second unit. You, Jack, and Dre.
Well, here's the thing, though. I do agree with that assessment. I mean, that's very feasible. But the thing is, what rotation? They got maybe a 6 or 7 man rotation. Let's just be real here.
Right.
I think they know that. And that's why I noticed it quickly when they played last night. They ran a lot of zone.
Right.
I don't think they played man the entire game. They might have done it once, but
some of that I think is just
they're also trying to get back their legs right.
Right. I mean that's a little bit of conditioning.
They're about to play like 5 games in the next week.
Right. They got conditioning problems because of course 5 weeks off and you didn't get to practice but maybe 4 or 5 days. That'll really kill your conditioning. But also I just think that maybe zone right now is just the best thing for them, and they have a lot of guys who are not great on-ball defenders. So a lot of times that zone really helps you. And if you can get Dre and...
That could be a perfect way to get your communication back, right? Play a zone.
That too, and then Vontae and Dre, if you can just have them hold down the boards, along with Jaden coming down to help out, I think you'll be fine.
When you get Raven back, like it's gonna be big for them.
Right.
I think having and then
like I said though, I mean it's not really a knock on anybody or anything. I just think that it would be interesting to see maybe trying that because first year when they went to the state championship, Raven was coming off the bench. Maybe that can help again and the fact of he can get back to being more of a facilitator.
And he's experienced. He knows how to play.
Right.
It's just it's kind of it's a good problem to have when you have as good a guard group as they have, because Mike Betts Jr. I don't think we really like fully got into depth with Mike.
I mean,
Mike played really well last night. He had,
Mike
18 points.
Mike is just a great explosive scorer. That's what he does. He puts the ball in the cup. That's what the got his first in-game dunk. So
Wait, that was his first one in game?
First in-game dunk.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't even. I thought he had plenty of those. Maybe I just hadn't noticed.
Yeah, no, he's dunked before, but he hasn't gotten one in game yet.
Well,
so
hopefully the
very
first
special moment for him. Of course, Dre, I believe. I don't know if that was his first.
No, that's not. No, he's had one. He had plenty in game. He's had plenty in game. But Dre definitely played well yesterday.
Right.
I think for them to be successful, they're going to need him to hit. I kind of mentioned this to him last night, but he's got to be able to hit one or two jumpers. Doesn't have to. I said threes last night, but doesn't necessarily have to be threes. It just has to be able to stretch the floor just a little bit.
Right.
Because, teams may start to, pack the paint a little and help off of him. And he's going to have to knock those shots down. But I really think they needed a game like that to get back to,
Right. And they got Wake Christian tomorrow, so
Wake Christian Thursday. Wayne Christian Friday. We got something special for that.
Game.
We got something special for that. I'm sure we'll probably drop that at the end of this.
Right.
But yeah, they definitely needed to play a game like that last night. And Falk knows he's got to get Coach Falk knows, the coaching staff knows that they have to find a way to just ease them back into gameplay. And they're playing these next two is gonna help when they go to FCA next week. So
right.
This is gonna be This is a big win for them. It's 85-50 win over Southeast.
I mean,
and Southeast, by the way, let's give them some credit. They're a really good team. That's they're a pretty good team. So I think that's gonna get them back into the swing of things now.
Right. I mean, like we said before, 6 games, 9 days. This is how you get your legs back. Playing a lot.
Oh yeah, play a lot of basketball will get your legs right. Let's move on, though. There was a game last week.
Wayne Prep versus Wayne Christian. A very good game. Another team. Wayne Prep looked completely different from the team that I saw. They played Harold's Christian a couple weeks ago. Really, they just turned it on defensively. And they looked like they wanted to make a statement about where they are now. I
think those first 2 games were very, very important to them. Even not even results wise. Playing Harold's with a guard like Samir Gibbs, a freshman guard who is lights out. He's going to be one of the best guards in the state over the next several years. Ty Barbie, who I've seen grow a lot over the last few months playing on the circuit. Yeah, he kick and play. That's a good team to play, especially when Takori Faison, who at the time hurt his finger, right? Hand injury. I apologize.
I believe he broke this part of his hand right here. So,
but playing without Takori helped the other guys. I don't think any of them has seen varsity level competition consistently. Only I would say maybe Caleb Coles.
Caleb, of course, playing on the circuit. I got a chance to play against some really good teams. And of course, Jaquan, he played some really tough opponents, and Amari as well.
Yeah, of course. I'm not saying they didn't play tough competition. Right. They just haven't seen it like a varsity team that executes sets and plays like like a lot more organized, like really like very like stringent and concise basketball.
Right. Then of course the big win against Thales, you were there.
Yes, against Thales Academy Roseville. I think, but I was before I get to that, I know they had lost that first game when you were there, but they were competitive in that fourth quarter. They were right there. They could have closed it.
I mean, it was the third quarter. They made a nice big run to tie it up going into the fourth, and then they lost it in the fourth.
And then it was the opposite. The Thales started on a big run, and Wayne Prep they come back and go 20-2. They're up double digits going to the second half. Thales comes back, makes a huge run. Now they're up 8 with like 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter all of a sudden. And it was really Coles and Jaquan Green. Those two, Jaquan was on the bench when that run started, like the fourth quarter run started. comes in, hits a three, gets to the basket, gets another three, hits 2 free throws, and eventually that tied it up. Late fourth quarter, and then Coles, after 2 free throws from Green to give them the lead for good. Eventually, Coles gets the steal and dunk to seal it, their first win in school history.
Right.
And of course, go ahead.
I think coming into this season, I think they knew that Green and Coles, as along with Faison, were going to be their guys. I think what really was great about the Wayne Christian game was that a bunch of other guys stepped up. I think you saw Dante Shuford. He has shown a lot, and just the fact of how he's able to get his buckets very efficiently so far. I don't believe he's missed probably more than 2 or 3 shots from what I've seen. And then you look at Kaheem Jones being able to hit some big shots as well.
Amari Latham being the energy guy.
Especially
yes. The 3 games we've seen him, that's probably the best he's played of those 3 games.
Right.
And he played well against Staley. He just didn't score as much.
Right. And I mean, he was scoring against Harrells as well.
That's true. That's right.
So
he was a force against Wayne Christian, especially second half. They couldn't stop him on the offensive glass.
It's going to be interesting to see on Friday because I believe Takori got cleared when they play Living Water. Who will be the starters? Do you go big? Do you go with,
I also got to remember, Amari Latham came off the bench against Wayne Christian.
Oh, that is true. That is true.
So,
do you go big with, Takori, Amari, Caleb, Jaquan, and then maybe
you go
either
with 2
Kaheem or Dante or Lil Wright. Dante Wright.
Dante Wright, yeah.
Yeah, Dante Wright.
I mean, I honestly think going with 2 of those 3, going with 2 of Coles, Latham, and Faison.
Yeah, that's probably
what Coach
probably
Wright
Coles
does.
and Faison. Probably Coles and Faison. Then you throw with Jaquan, and then you go.
If you bring,
probably finish with Kaheem and
you bring Amari Latham and other big kid, I forgot his name.
Adonis.
Yes, if those 2 off the bench, maybe Adonis not as much. We'll probably still see some good minutes, but
I mean, I think Adonis would be a nice piece eventually. He's
really
raw.
Yeah, he's gonna develop into a good player. I think getting him some minutes is gonna help them.
Right.
Sure.
And the thing you can look at this team is there's no juniors on this team. There's no seniors on this team.
All 9th and 10th graders.
They are all 9th and 10th graders, wet behind the ears, and we've both seen them in numerous games make freshman mistakes.
They definitely look like freshmen and sophomores in all 3 games.
Right.
That's definitely for sure.
Guys who've never been in those type of moments. And, it's understandable.
Like Wayne Country Day in their situation with not playing for a while.
Right.
They need to play games too to realize what they can do to win as a young team.
Right.
And they're another team that played a lot of zone. At least when I saw them against Staley's, they played a lot of zone.
And like I said, I think that works for you because they have a lot of size.
Yeah.
So they can rebound out of the zone. Honestly, I think zone is a lot easier to play than man-to-man.
I agree.
But the drawback, of course, is being able to finish possessions with the rebound.
I agree.
And if you can rebound...
That's pretty good. You need a coach or something.
No. Nope. Don't go
you
down
need
the
a,
show.
You need to start...
All right, so... Anyway, them rebounding, being able to rebound out of a zone has been very important. And when you have guys like that who have long wingspans who can get out and jump passes, I think zone is not a problem. I don't really agree with everybody who says you have to play man to man 100% of the game in high school because you got not to play it in college. I think you can mix and match some stuff in there. You have to be able to be prepared for all situations when you go to college.
You have to be multifaceted.
Offensively,
defensively.
Right. And
be able to do a lot of things well.
Honestly, too, most guys who come into college don't play right away. So we could talk about being college ready, but 9 times out of 10, most guys aren't college ready.
Even if they are, they aren't.
I mean, I'm about saying even if they aren't necessarily prepared for that level as
the situation they're in. Yeah, and that's
as quickly as they think they are. But you gotta look at somebody like Keyshawn Porter. He came in and he did what he's supposed to do. I'm sure he was prepared, but I'm sure it's a different level of preparation once you get into the season and you have to start putting for some of this stuff that you learned in the off season.
We're definitely happy for him. By the
Right,
way.
of course.
He's going to be.
I just use him because he's had
This is
such
a
a
good
great,
example.
he's had a great start to his college career.
It's a
so
great
far.
example. I mean,
Getting good minutes already.
I mean, we definitely got to shout out all the North Carolina freshmen as
I
well.
mean, Ricky Council the other night.
Yep, Cam Hayes has played great at
Cam
North
Hayes
Carolina
played
State.
great.
I know you. You and I, we love Dayron.
Lottery.
Dayron Lotto.
Pinball him.
Dayron Lotto.
Ping pong ball him.
Ping pong ball. If the ping pong ball falls, it will fall for Dayron. But nonetheless, though, Wayne Prep is going to grow into a good program, and I think the games they need.
Wayne Christian, on the other hand, they have a lot of work to do from that showing. Of course, they did go on to get a bounce back win.
They beat Wilson Christian on a Monday night.
Right, on Monday night.
Even though we didn't know if they were playing, so we're sorry, Wayne Christian. We didn't know.
Yeah. So.
But hey, guess what though?
What?
Wayne Christian is playing Wayne Country Day this Friday, and
we'll be there.
What will we be doing there?
We'll be live streaming. So.
Yes, sir. That is right. The live stream was very popular the first time. First of all, thank you to everybody who watched. From the Hoop State Network to our guy Jaden Young at Greensboro Day. Everyone.
Roy, make that offer.
We need Daggone Roy to run that O.
Run that O for him.
But yes, Wayne Christian at Wayne Country Day this Friday night. It will be live streamed on the WJG Sports YouTube channel. And Kai will probably be saying things throughout the game as he does it. So we're very excited.
I'll try to keep my comments to myself. But anyway, Wayne Christian, I think what they really have to find, they have to figure out who's going to be their grit guys. Who's going to be the guys who are going to play defense and rebound for you?
We know what their identity is offensively.
I mean, it's Jaquan Curry.
WJG Sports Classic alum Jaquan Curry, of course.
Also the scoring champion from last year. Everyone knows who's the guy on that team. You know what's going to happen.
You know who's going to get. You know who's going to have the ball.
Taking the shots. You know who's
going to be facilitating, have the ball in his hands a lot. So.
But now it's just all about finding those guys who can grind out games with you. You know Jaquan is going to play defense, but he's a guard. He doesn't have to rebound. I mean,
he does, but
he does.
They have good athletes on their team too.
Right. It's just all about figuring out, who wants to go down there. They have to. I think against Wayne Country Day, they might have to slow this game down because. If Wayne Country Day gets out in transition, it's going to be hard to beat them, in my opinion. Well, honestly, it just all depends on how good Devontae playing. If Devontae is running, then you're losing by 30. I know that might offend some of the Wayne Christian people, but if Devontae Hutchinson's running, and
the way he would, if he plays like that, it will be tough to beat.
When you're playing an up-pace game, you're not going to win. Now, if he's not running, I mean, maybe you can outshoot him. Maybe. I mean, they're shot Boston. He didn't hit a lot of shots.
He's got to be that. He's got to be.
He's got to be that second guy.
They got guys who can also score a little bit, like Shai Haskins. They picked him up, the new transfer from ACOC.
Right, and then you got Josh.
Josh Sutton from Bethel.
He's got to be able to score, rebound. He got some blocks. He got some nice defensive plays.
Yeah.
On
absolutely.
Friday. But to me, I think that's just pretty much what they have to do. They have to figure out who's going to be their grinders. Also talking about Wayne Christian, I think their girls team...
they're 3-0 to start the year.
Yeah, I think they have a good chance to beat Wayne Country Day.
Interesting.
Just because of their inside presence.
Brianna Verme has played very well to start the year.
25 points.
She had 25 against the Wayne Prep. The Wayne Prep girls, by the way, that's a good young group. They play hard. They've made a lot of progress in their 3 games, but they just haven't been able to close and get the results as Kai opens a drink here. But yeah, it's honestly going to be a process for the girls team at Wayne Prep.
And I talked to Coach Cole about them, and I told one of the things that I said is just you're going to have to grind it out with this team. You have to be you got a really young team, and you got to figure out how to get them to grow up quickly.
Yeah, get them to reel them in because they're playing high school competition.
Right.
I mean,
I mean, most of those girls are 8th and 9th graders playing high school competition, so.
But they got some pieces that can play.
Got some
and
pieces.
they play hard. They
got some pieces. That's
a
the
lot of
biggest
effort.
thing.
And they're actually, like, the games we've seen them in, they're not bad shooting free throws.
Right. And I told them they got to ride it out. I told them
they got to limit
you got to ride it out. You just got to ride it out. Like, you got, 3 or 4 years with this group. Mm-hmm. Ride it out. Try to figure out how to turn them into better basketball players and to make this a better team. Because they're so young, they have plenty of, you can instill whatever you want in them.
I agree. I think those kids, they play really hard. Mm-hmm. I think they just need to hit their free throws, limit their turnovers. That's why they lost at the Elite Academy. And they were tied or one possession game in the fourth quarter. They just kept turning the ball over at inopportune times.
Right.
And I mean, I'm not surprised by that. It's a young team filled with middle and like 9th grade and middle schoolers. Right. So it's hard to get them to not turn the ball over.
Right.
But those kids will definitely grow. I think just playing these games will help them too. But I really am excited for that Wayne Country Day girls matchup.
Right.
I'm excited to see. I'm always excited to see Jakia Brunson put the ball in the basket. That's what she does.
Jakia is her game has really grown. She's scoring the ball really efficiently, really easily.
She's confident with it too.
Yeah.
Normally, maybe it's just me from noticing her play the last 2 years, but the first 3 she hit against Freedom Christian last week, and she put up the 3 fingers like, this is going in every time I shoot it. I was like, okay, yeah, she's different now.
Yeah, no,
it's about to be scary.
Yeah, no, Jakia has definitely grown a lot. She's grown into her own. I think that she is somebody who could potentially be looking at Division I type of offers, by the time she gets as a senior. She's 68 points within
1,000 as a 10th grader.
As a 10th grader.
And with the rest of the season, like she
end up hard. She works hard.
She can end up at what, like the way the season looks, she could end up at like 1,300 maybe.
I mean, the way the season looks, she definitely could. She's been dropping 30 balls left and right.
Yep, she had 31 against Freedom.
31 against Freedom.
She had 30 in all but one game, right?
29 against Cape Fear, and then 36 against Northwood Temple. I think only had like 13 or 14 against Parrott, but I think really so far she's just done a great job of carrying that team. A lot of people said that maybe she couldn't do it without Lexi, and I think so far she's carried the torch very well. And the only reason I say that Wayne Christian could win is just because Wayne Christian, I think right now is a deeper team. The biggest thing is, can they limit their turnovers against Wayne Country Day? And can they
contain 12 in white?
12 in white. Or, also, too, just can Kimora and Carly, can they, how much would they give? And how can you stop them?
Can play, too.
Because honestly, the biggest thing I think for Wayne Christian is just maybe say, you know what, we'll give Jakia 30, 40, whatever she wants, and then try to maybe say, hey, we don't want Kimora and Carly to give us 10 apiece, and then we'll play in the 60s. Can you play with Wayne Christian? Wayne Christian.
I think this really is Wayne Christian's chance to be competitive.
Right.
And Wayne Country Day has got a big schedule coming up. They're going to play Village Christian with TCU signing Deja Turner next week too. Mm-hmm. So can't look too far ahead, but a few big games for the girls team as they go into Christmas break. So that's definitely going to be fun. Let's see. I also want to shout out some of our volleyball squads that are playing well. Right. Corinth Holders Volleyball. They're
on their way to their second sole conference championship in school history.
As long as they continue to take care of business, I don't think they should continue.
Third overall for them. So as long as they went out, they win the conference.
Clayton and Cleveland have played very well.
Clayton, they are a monstrous group. They're so far.
Clayton, I believe, is the only team Corinth lost to.
Right, they are, and they have played like a team who could possibly be a state championship contender. Goldsboro still undefeated, 7-0.
Princeton is also still undefeated, correct?
Yes.
And News Charter, I know they've played very well as well.
Almost beat Princeton for the first time.
Probably the best volleyball match we've seen between the two of us.
Right. Definitely is.
Let's see. Anyone else?
I mean, Southwest, Cleveland, they've all handled business so far. They've all been
you're gonna
very
be
solid.
You're gonna be at South versus West tomorrow.
Correct.
Right? And I'll be at Princeton versus Rosewood.
Right.
Volleyball, because we got to make sure we get to all our volleyball squads.
Right. Really, like I said, Acock's had a solid year so far, and then Southern Wayne's had a year so far.
They've been pretty good.
So I mean, it's been some good volleyball. It's been good to see it.
Johnson played well too.
We've definitely tried to get out some more volleyball than we did last year. So I think that's really been a big emphasis, and I think we've done a good job of that so far.
Yeah.
Not to pat ourselves on the back or anything like that.
But honestly, the important thing about volleyball that I wanted to mention along with this is the playoff process, which for teams, from what I read up, it's 13 auto bids and 3 wild cards for all the East and West conferences each. So
Gotcha.
32 total teams, 16 each for each classification.
That's tough. That's tough. 16. Woo.
Yeah, and so pretty much to guarantee that you're in the playoffs, you got to win your conference. So for teams like Clayton, Corinth, Goldsboro, Princeton, they have to keep winning.
Right.
Another team.
But for a team like News Charter,
if News Charter can get a second, they can be on. They're an auto team as well.
Goldsboro as well. If they get a second, they get an auto bid. So
Yeah.
those 2 teams, they're.
But Corinth and Clayton got to keep taking care of business.
Right. And so now a team like Cleveland, now they're battling for their lives against a team like versus South and West Johnston because
they've got to win to give themselves a chance. Yes.
Right.
But really, this with COVID-19 kind of moving seasons around, this is kind of what we expected. It was going to be very different this year.
Right.
In a ton of aspects, not just like on and off the floor stuff, but like playoff stuff, like I just mentioned.
Right. So losing that first round game and going basically straight to the second round is woo. I mean, that really makes the field so much smaller. I guess. But I think that's what's best for right now. Just trying to keep it low, especially because you have to get to the next season. Because girls basketball is going to be starting in early January.
Yeah, it starts in early January, and there might be a few kids that play on the basketball team too.
I mean, you could have some girls playing basketball one night, volleyball game the next, basketball the next, and then volleyball again. Could have some girls playing like that.
That's true. I know there are some around the area that do play both, so it's going to be a very interesting next couple weeks. Of course, with the new stay-at-home order going through.
Everything's got to be done by 10, so I mean, that's... Oof.
Nick Stevens from high school team mentioned it perfectly. Like talking about those public school quads, like girls and boys JV, girls and boys varsity. It's going to be very interesting.
Honestly, I've been thinking about this for a while. I think, honestly, why don't you play all the girls' games at one venue and then play all the boys' games at the other venue?
Or JV and varsity.
Or JV and varsity in different areas.
I would say JV and varsity for me, though, personally.
Okay.
But I still like the direction of the idea is aligned with yours.
Now, think about this. How many kids, their parents don't get to see them play because they play JV and their game starts at 3:30 and their parents can't get to see them play?
Also, yeah.
I mean, could you imagine now, their parents now get to come in at 6 o'clock for the girls' game and then 7:30 for the boys' game. And then on the varsity side, you get to start at 6 and 7:30 pretty much guaranteed.
Yeah.
Versus having the JV and the...
Real talk, though, I just wish we could get to the other side of this already. I'm fed up. I know a lot of people are also fed up.
Mm-hmm.
Do I really want to wear this? I don't, but it's necessary, so I will.
Yeah.
It's just really, it's really good.
Gotta care for your neighbor. Yep. Mask up.
Yep. Mask up and be safe. Wash your hands. Try and keep as distant as possible, even though
we're not 6 feet apart. But
technically we're not. But
don't tell anybody.
Please no. But other than that, like, honestly, we just want to get to the other side. Truly, like it's been a crazy last 9-10 months now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Well, hey, look at this. Tomorrow, by the time this podcast drops, we'll only have 2 weeks left for 2020, and we can get to the other side.
yeah.
2021. Of course, COVID.
Vaccines have come.
Vaccines
There
have
could
come.
be a second one approved very soon, maybe within days. Who knows?
Hey, so hey, what can you say, man?
Always looking at the positive things.
It's looking up. It's looking up.
Things looking up. We got the man above
Could get
us,
that,
man.
Could get that $600 stimmy. You know,
Stimmy.
I could
Nothing
use
but
a little bit more,
the
but
stimmy
hey, I'll
immy.
take the 600 stimmy.
The stimmy immy.
Send that stimmy, big bro.
Run me that stimmy, my guy.
All right,
But other than that,
I don't like the way we're steering into this. So, hey.
yeah, I think we've overstayed.
Yeah.
But
so I'm Kai Jones.
I am Kai Jones.
He's like a baby.
Like a baby. And yes, this has been episode 71, Just Like Brothers podcast. You know what it is. Once again, like we mentioned earlier, Wayne Christian versus Wayne Country Day this Friday night will be live streamed on the WJG Sports YouTube channel, which you should subscribe to, by the way. You can also check our podcast out on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, other podcasting platforms. Let's see. You know where to follow him, MMJ Kai Jones, at StrikerNation24 _. You can also subscribe to Striker Lights too, my personal YouTube channel. And yeah,
That's it.
That's it. We'll see you again soon. Peace.